Hello, and welcome to Reset, Refocus, and Rise, supporting performers through a mental health approach. My name is Liza Koontz, MSN, APRN, Psychiatric Mental Health Nurse Practitioner, Board Certified, and Certified Nurse Educator. I'm also a former performer in the activity and current Co-Executive Director for FIU Winterguards. Today's conversation is not about lowering standards or reducing excellence. It's about understanding how mental wellness, recovery, mindset, and team culture directly impact your ability to perform consistently and sustainably. So today's focus, performance starts beyond the floor. So we're going to cover understanding burnout and capacity. We'll talk about why burnout happens and why talent alone is not enough to sustain performances. Recovery and sustainable performances. So we'll discuss how recovery, hydration, nutrition, and rest directly impact your consistency and stamina. Mindset and rehearsal habits. We'll also talk about how your mindset affects rehearsal quality, confidence, and mental resilience. Advocacy and team culture. We'll discuss the importance of healthy team environments and learning how to advocate for yourself and others. Supporting yourself and others. Most importantly, how can you continue pursuing excellence while also prioritizing yourself through the process, because this activity demands more than people realize. Remember, mental wellness is performance wellness as well. I'd like to share a little bit about me. I'm a performer, director, mental health professional, and advocate. Now I'm speaking to you today from multiple perspectives. I've experienced the demands of the activity as a performer. I've guided students through it as a director, and I also understand the mental health wellness through my clinical background as a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. One thing I've consistently seen across all of those experiences is that performers often normalize exhaustion, overwhelm, and burnout because they care deeply about succeeding. As a former marching arts performer, I understand the pressures and the rehearsal demands and the emotional highs and lows and the level of commitment in this activity. I've been in this activity for now 27 years. I've marched DCI. I've been in WGI in both scholastic and independent units, ranging from independent aid through independent world. So I too understand what many of you may go through. As a current color guard director, I also see how much performers carry mentally and physically throughout a season. I can't begin to share how many struggles and highs and lows I've seen through students' challenges and overcoming adversity. And it is why I am a big advocate of mental health through this activity. As a PMH professional, my clinical background has helped me develop better understanding how stress recovery, emotional regulation, and performance are all connected. As an educator and advocate, a large part of my work centers around helping students grow while also supporting their overall well-being. I'm also very passionate about performer sustainability and wellness. I believe you can pursue excellence while still taking care of yourself in the process. So today I want to talk about mental health wellness, not separately from performance, but as part of the performance. Reset. We hear this a lot as performers. We say it a lot as instructors. Reset can be triggering, but it can also help when utilized correctly. Reset. Activity demands more than meets the eye. This activity asks a lot from you physically, mentally, and emotionally. Long rehearsals, travel, injuries, social media pressures, and constant performance expectations all add up over time. Now, sometimes as performers, you become so focused on keeping up that you stop recognizing when your own mind and body are running low. Physical exhaustion. Long rehearsals, repetitive physical output, lack of sleep, injuries, and travel slowly wear down your body over time. Emotional pressure. You may feel pressure to constantly prove yourself to staff, teammates, audiences, social media, or even yourself. Constant comparison. In this activity, comparison exists everywhere. Placement, casting, scores, and clips online can make it easy to measure yourself against everyone else. Fear of falling behind. Sometimes you ignore physical or emotional warning signs because you're afraid of missing opportunities or falling behind. Pressure to always push through. Pushing through everything without recovery eventually impacts your consistency, confidence, and performance quality. This activity requires resilience, discipline, and commitment, but one of the biggest misconceptions is that this activity is believing that talent alone is enough to sustain performances. Continuing through reset, capacity, not the same as talent. Now, you can be incredibly talented and still struggle because your physical, emotional, or mental capacity has been overloaded. Talent and capacity are not the same. Capacity is the cap, the word cap. It's almost a bucket that you fill with water. That bucket could hold a lot of water, however, it gets to the point where it becomes overloaded. But that doesn't mean the bucket's bad. So the talent is the bucket. You're super talented, sturdy, a great bucket, but capacity is when too much has been put in. Burnout impacts performance. Burnout is more than simply being tired. It's physical, emotional, mental exhaustion that builds over time. Capacity changes under stress. Capacity is your ability to function effectively under pressure, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Focus and confidence decrease. When you become overwhelmed, concentration becomes harder, mistakes feel bigger, and confidence becomes less stable. Recovery slows down. Your brain and body recover more slowly under chronic stress, impacting stamina, consistency, and emotional regulation. Remember, recovery is part of color guard and does get credit when done correctly. Part of that is to make sure that you are not facing overwhelm and you have that consistency and emotional regulation. Mental health affects physical performance. So your brain and body are connected systems. Your mental wellness directly impacts your focus, endurance, reaction time, and performance quality. Burnout does not mean you lack talent, discipline, or passion. Often it means you have been functioning beyond your capacity for too long without enough recovery. Burnout prevents performers from showing up as their best selves. Refocus. Find that focus, lock it in, refocus. Refocus, recovery, essentials to maximizing performance. A lot of performers train like elite athletes, but neglect recovering completely. Hydration, nutrition, sleep, and rest are not separate from performances. They are part of your performance. So performers train like elite athletes, but do not recover like they do. Recovery is part of training. Recovery allows your body and mind to continue performing effectively throughout an entire season. Hydration impacts focus. Even mild dehydration can affect your concentration, endurance, reaction time, and mental clarity throughout the season, and rehearsals and performance. Personally, I always recommend liquid IVs, or if you're going to use a Gatorade, sugar-free, any of those electrolyte enhancers or supplements are great. Please consult with your physicians, but if you want to keep hydration up, you're going to have to be able to put a little bit more than just water into your system. Nutrition impacts stamina. What you fuel your body with directly impacts how consistently you rehearse, recover, and perform. This is protein. Protein. Great carbs. You got to look at your veggies and things like that. Yes, but you can also include a starch. Make sure it's not fried. Things like that will help you consistently create some energy, so that way you just don't burn through everything throughout your rehearsal or performance. Sleep affects emotional regulation. When you consistently prioritize sleep, you are able to manage stress, maintain focus, and recover mentally and physically. In the sleep cycle, when you go through REM and non-REM, it is understood, especially for us psychiatric nurses, practitioners, and even psychiatrists alike, we all say the same thing. When you go to sleep, your body goes to work. Why? Because recovery matters. So in order to make sure that you recover your body well, you have to rest. I understand that there are times at work, school, or even wanting to stay up and hanging out with your friends or whatever it may be. It is important that when you are in season, if you're in drum corps, or even if you're in WGI, recovery and rest matters most. Rest improves consistency. Now, the goal is not just surviving one rehearsal or performance. The goal is helping yourself stay consistent over time. Sustainable performance is not about constantly doing more. It's about learning how to support your body and mind in ways that allow you to continue growing, performing at a high level. Sustainable performers perform longer and better. This is part of the, work smarter, not harder. If you take care of your body, you build consistency, you are working smarter without harder. If you're tired, you're dehydrated, you're not eating, you're making your body work much harder, which is going to, in long term, impact recovery, will also impact capacity. Refocus again. Mindset. A mind can dot in or dot out. Mental spirals happen fast in this activity. One bad rep can quickly become frustration, self-doubt, overthinking, or comparison. In color guard, we think about the equipment going in and out all the time, but mentally, you can dot in or dot out too. Practice with intention. The quality of your rehearsal matters more than simply getting through rehearsal. Intentional reps create stronger performance habits. Full out reps build confidence. Confidence is built through repetition, preparation, and learning to trust yourself under pressure. Mark with purpose. Marking can absolutely be effective when it's intentionally done instead of simply going through the motions. Now, there is a big difference between a full out rep and marking with purpose. When you are full out, this is where you're giving all of your energy. This is when you're doing huge chunks where you're trying to really create the consistency. When you're marking with purpose is maybe you hold back that energy, but you still extend your arm. You still push out, but it's just not that drive intense where you're really going completely full out. What you don't want to do when you're marking is create poor muscle memory. Remember, your body will remember what you do over time. Consistency matters when you're marking as well. Reset after mistakes. One mistake should not take you out for the rest of rehearsal or performance. A mistake happens. Recovery is on the sheets for a reason. We are human. We understand human error. Now, what you do with that mistake is what's going to tell you whether you're going to excel or not. So just make sure that if you make a mistake, you learn, you grow, you let it go, and you move on. Avoid comparison spirals. Consistent rehearsals create consistent shows. When you are practicing at your best in a performance, you elevate so much better. So when you take that concept of, I am going to be my best self at rehearsal, that means the better self of you is going to show up. Why? Adrenaline and joy will kick into place. If you are grounded and you are centered in what you're doing at rehearsal, you will be grounded and enjoying yourself as you're doing it in shows. Avoid comparison spirals. So, going back into that comparison spiral, it is easy to look at someone else and say, they are so much better than me, but you don't know if they're doing that as well. If you yourself just focus on you, it will help you realize that maybe I can do this, maybe I could do that. Don't let yourself go into negative spiral about yourself. Talk to yourself like you would to somebody else. Why? Because we are our own worst critics. Now, remember, the strongest performers are not the ones who never struggle mentally. They are the ones who learn how to reset, regulate pressure, and refocus productively. Your mindset shapes your performance habits. Rise. Rise. Team culture, keeping in tempo. The strongest teams are not just technically talented. They create environments where you feel respected, supported, and safe enough to grow, struggle, improve, and advocate for yourself and others. Energy spreads quickly. Positive and negative energy both spread quickly throughout rehearsal environments. Choose wisely. Psychological safety improves performance. When you feel psychologically safe, you are more willing to take risks, learn, improve, and perform confidently. Support creates stronger performance. You perform better when you're connected, encouraged, and supported by the people around you. So do the same for others. If you create that team culture, you guys all support each other, you'll be in a better place. Advocacy matters. Part of leadership is learning how to advocate for yourself and also recognize when someone around you may need support too. It is the best bet to advocate for yourself, and if you see something, say something. Community matters. There is a phrase many performers grow up hearing: good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better and your better is the best. But growth is healthiest when you support each other through the process instead of feeling like you have to carry everything alone. You do that with your team. Excellence becomes more sustainable when performers feel supported mentally, emotionally, and physically. The strongest teams support the people behind the performance. Now, clearly is that excellence. Excellence is not perfection. Excellence is striving for your best and going out for the best outcome you can. Tips and tricks and rise. So a lot of performance success happens outside of rehearsal. The small habits you build throughout the season directly impact how you can consistently perform physically, mentally, and emotionally. So fuel before you feel depleted. Waiting until you're exhausted to eat or hydrate makes recovery and performance harder. Fueling consistently helps stabilize energy and stamina. Hydrate before rehearsals and performances. Hydration affects focus, endurance, recovery, and mental clarity. Performances start before rehearsal and even begins. Keep quick energy sources in your bag. Protein bars, electrolyte fruit snacks, trail mix, or quick carbohydrates can help sustain your energy through rehearsal or competition days. Stretch, recover, and reset consistently. Recovery habits outside of rehearsal help your body handle physical demands of the activity more effectively. Practice full out with intention. Consistent rehearsal create consistent performances. When you practice at your best, your performance will elevate to a better. Prioritize sleep during heavy rehearsal weeks and performance schedules. Again, sleep is the biggest performance tool that performers underestimate. Advocate early, not when overwhelmed. Speaking up early when something feels physically or mentally off helps prevent larger issues later. The goal is not perfection. The goal is learning how to support yourself consistently enough to continue to grow, performing, and enjoy the activity long term. Consistency outside of rehearsal impacts consistency on the field and floor. Think about that. Reset, refocus, rise. This activity will always demand a lot from you physically and mentally, but excellence and wellness do not have to compete with each other. The strongest performers are the ones who learn how to sustain themselves while growing, recover, and perform consistently. When you reset your nervous system, refocus your mind, and prioritize yourself, you rise to excellence. Your best performance starts with you. Thank you. Here's my information. My name is Liza Koontz. I am a former performer in the activity, current co-executive director at FIU Winter Guards. Here's my contact information: lkoontz@jlpsychiatric.com. My website is jlpsychiatric.com, and my Instagram is also jlpsychiatric. Reset, refocus, rise. Supporting performers through a mental health approach. Thank you for joining me today.
Part out there. Now people are like, oh my God, I didn't know that's what I needed in my life. And I want to create that kind of environment, that kind of world where people reach out to us, people like yourself who are just hearing about what we're doing. It's like, yeah, that sounds kind of cool. Now, if I showed you what we did, you're like, oh, this is everything. Yeah. And that's where I'm trying to get to. It's important that we get the work out there, that, you know, people are marching and having a good time, but the release is what's needed. The freedom is what's needed. That's what the essence of Melanin Mosaic is. It's freedom. And all stop is freedom. There's no rules. If you want to do something, bring it to us. Let's try to make it work within our, you know, our frame of the marching arts and dance, blah blah. But if you want to do it, let's try to find a way how to